What's a spiritual community? Community is one of the basic needs of human beings. You know, no matter what we're doing or where we are, there is a craving for some kind of community, some kind of company. One of the things about a spiritual community is that we see each other as whole and perfect beings. You know, it's like people ask me, what's the difference between spiritual therapy and regular therapy? And part of the difference is that spiritual therapy kind of looks forward to what one is growing into and looks at the blocks getting there rather than trying to unpack how we got to where we are. So part of the purpose of a spiritual community is to affirm for each other our innate capacity to be who we are. A spiritual community is a context in which we can do for each other what we have the greatest difficulty doing for ourselves. And what we have the greatest difficulty doing for ourselves is loving ourselves as we are. So a spiritual community everybody greets each other with essentially one word. And the word is yes. Yes, which includes, I know you have a song to sing, and we support you finding your song. We know you have a gift to bring, and we support your finding that gift. We know you have a way that's true, and we support you finding that way and honoring that way, being that way. And a spiritual community does more than that, because not only does it do that for each other, but as a community, we strive to do that for our world. Paths to Awakening is an intentional spiritual community that transcends separate faith traditions. The more I teach, and particularly in the past 11 and a half years focusing on interfaith, the more I am aware of the beauty within all authentic faith traditions. And what I mean by an authentic faith tradition is a faith tradition that provides an avenue to a shared universal. You know, recognizing that the universal is greater than any particular path. Paths to Awakening is an intentional spiritual community that transcends separate faith traditions in the service of a oneness that embraces us all. The essence of spiritual awakening is always the awakening to increasing levels of one, increasing levels of oneness, to increasing levels of inclusivity. Spirituality is the awareness of the absolute interconnectedness of all being. Spirituality ultimately allows us to recognize that the one looking at you through my eyes and the one looking at me through your eyes is the same one. On the other side of the shell of our personality, on the other side of the shell of our particularity, is one life we are living. And we human beings are given the incredible gift of incarnating, that we might bring that consciousness to the world we share. And look at the world. It doesn't look like we're doing so good. So part of what a spiritual community does is address that issue and kind of ask the question, if that reality is not expressing in the world, then in one way or another that awareness, that reality is not expressing in each of us. there are still places our hearts close. There is still ritualized behavior and polarizations into which we collapse. We still have a notion that there are some people who are absolutely right and some people who are absolutely wrong. And if we could just convince those who are wrong to be right, everything would be okay. Alas, that'll never work. So if we can get to a place where our agenda is not to convince each other of our rightness, but our agenda is to embrace each other in the fullness of our humanity, where whether we agree or whether we differ is less important in this moment than the truth of what we are sharing.